From our studios here at Accra-Kumasi in Accra, hello, good evening, and welcome to Join Us Prime. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. I am Carlos Kaloni.
And I am Faustina. So for tonight, pressure mounts on the minority leader in Parliament to produce a former finance minister to face prosecution and accountability for his role in alleged corruption reading contracts, including the GRA SML deal.
Authoritative information that by February 18th, the honorable former finance minister was going to be in Ghana. So I'm saying, where is the former finance minister? I thought you were going to tell us his whereabouts.
Also, the minority caucus is demanding that MCA for Birim Central be investigated over his alleged facilitation of illegal mining activities, more as it describes the planned Accra-Kumasi Expressway project as unnecessary, urging the government to finish the existing highway instead.
Completion of the dualization of the Accra-Kumasi road, you are telling us that you are going to construct an express road. From which funds? It's a complete misplaced priority.
Tonight, lead sponsor of the Anti-LGBTQ bill up in arms as he alleges a grand scheme to block the lane of the controversial bill. Also, police discharged blogger from custody after satisfying 50,000 bail condition following his detention over alleged false publication against former NCA board chairman. We're back with more after this quick turn. Please stay with us.
Thank you so much for your time here on Join Us Prime. Let's begin from the Parliament, because the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has come under intense pressure from the majority side of the House after being accused of failing to honor his promise to ensure the return of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to face prosecution over the controversial GRA SML contract, the National Cathedral project, and other initiatives flagged for impropriety under the previous administration. On Friday, the minority and majority leaders clashed on the floor of Parliament over the delayed return of Mr. Ofori-Atta. The exchanges followed a question from the local government minister, Ahmed Ibrahim, who demanded answers from the minority leader about the former minister's whereabouts. An inquiry that quickly escalated into a heated debate between both sides. Yes, what transpired in the chamber?
Just to solicit an answer from an honorable minority leader. He gave us authoritative information that by February 18th, the honorable former finance minister was going to be in Ghana. So I'm saying, where is the former finance minister? I thought you were going to tell us his whereabouts. Ministers of finance who have occupied that office after their tenure, they remain in this country. Where is our former finance minister? Where is he?
The records would bear me out that indeed, when the respected former finance minister had issue with the OSP, which mattered the majority leader himself, came to apologize. He used the dispatch box to apologize on behalf of government for the mishandling of the whole matter. We as leaders owed a responsibility and a duty in the matter. I, right here, indicated that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta had written to the OSP through his lawyers that he was going to be in the country on or before May, not July. This was in February. Mr. Speaker, in the letter, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta again indicated that he had been booked for surgery. When the time came and his doctors further advised that the surgery will require some healing process, Mr. Speaker, he again wrote, this time not only a letter by his lawyers, the letter from his doctors. It is not a matter of I resigning, or making a promise and failing to honor that. Let's put things in proper context. All I want Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim to understand is that when it comes to ill health, our medicals, all of us may go through it one way or the other. If a man is going through a serious medical condition, how many of us will be bold to disclose our medical record? But the man has disclosed his medical record. Mr. Speaker, that hospital where he's receiving treatment is a renowned medical hospital in the United States. Let's be fair to Ken Ofori-Atta. Let's be fair. It can be you tomorrow.
Given an impression that members on this side are insensitive to the medical condition of Ken Ofori-Atta. That is the impression you have sought to give. Mr. Speaker, Ken Ofori-Atta was very sick in this country. You could see the sickness in his face. By that time, it was sweet to be a finance minister. It was sweet to be a finance minister. In spite of the ill health, he persisted and insisted on remaining in this country as a finance minister. How come that suddenly, because today he is being sought after by the law enforcement agencies, he cannot live in this country and is claiming illness? He was sick when he was finance minister. We all saw it. He was sick.
Honorable members.
Still in Parliament, the minority is urging the Minister for Local Government to immediately suspend the Brim Central Municipal Chief Executive Solomon Kusi Brako and launch an independent investigation into allegations of extortion linked to illegal mining. The caucus claims the MC has been collecting 15,000 Ghana cedis from some illegal miners and then releasing them, a practice they say encourages perpetrators and undermines the national fight against illegal mining. Addressing journalists, the minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre condemned the alleged conduct and called for swift action against the MCE.
If you go to Oda constituency, there's a lot. We spoke to this matter earlier on about the MC, Mr. Solomon Kusi, the MC for Oda, who is illegally taking money from Galamseyers. And he claimed to be charging them because they are engaging in Galamsey. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? He is supposed to be the representative of the president. He represents the president in that municipality. And I don't know which part of the bylaws. I have looked at the Oda Municipal Assembly, their bylaws. There is no bylaw that allows him to charge illegal miners a fine. So he will charge them, take the money into his pocket, and then free them. And this is what is happening. Unfortunate on the side of Mr. Solomon Kusi, the very people he charged and took 15,000 each from them, he went ahead to report some of them, I don't know why, maybe they didn't pay enough, to NIMOS. And then NIMOS had gone in to attack them. And the people have started talking that, after all, we pay some monies to you. First of all, I think that I want to call on the Minister for Local Government. If this government is serious about the fight against Galamsey, they must demonstrate it. And this is one of their litmus tests. They must demonstrate it. First of all, I call on the local government minister. He must suspend Mr. Solomon Kusi immediately and pave way for an independent investigation to this matter. Mr. Solomon Kusi, who is Municipal Chief Executive for Oda Municipality, must step aside. And we are calling for a full-scale investigation into this matter.
Well, the caucus is also calling on the Minister for Land and Natural Resources to provide weekly briefings to Parliament on concrete measures being taken to deal with illegal mining.
I was very careful in choice of words and emphasize the need for us to establish a certain working template where every week, minimum once, we should have the Minister for Lands or the ministry, so that it could be based on the availability of the minister. If the minister is not available, his deputy could come and apprise the House, because I think that we need to take this fight beyond the ordinary. There is one litmus test, and it has to do with the turbidity of the waters. If the waters are getting bad, if the land is being destroyed, our lands are being destroyed, and especially now that we are told, scientific report, to the effect that heavy metals are being found on our dining table as a result of food items coming from these mining areas. I think it's a matter of life and death. And it clearly also tells us that something is not being done right. And we, as a parliament and as a representative of the people, we have an oversight powers. We have oversight powers to be able to subpoena the minister to come.
Lead proponent of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Reverend John Intimfojo, has voiced frustration over the continued delay in scheduling the Anti-LGBTQ bill for laying and passage. He argues that the prolonged hold-up appears deliberate and risks creating a negative public perception of Parliament. He is urging that the bill be advertised for next week, just days after the President publicly reaffirmed his readiness to sign it once it is passed by the House.
Speaker, and it's been 6 weeks since the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Private Members Bill, was featured on the order paper. The next day it was removed and some disputed reasons were given. A week after, the Speaker of Parliament gave a ruling, very clear. The records, Hansard captures it, that nothing prevents the bill from being laid. It is 5 weeks from the time that Mr. Speaker gave that ruling. And since then, no attempt has been made by this House to have the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill to deal with the canker of LGBT, devastating our norms and culture in this country, threatening our family values. And there seems to be a very conspicuous silence on this. Mr. Speaker, the House must not create the impression that what was a priority in the 8th Parliament, a priority to the 275 members of Parliament, has suddenly been thrown under the carpet and has suddenly been jettisoned by the 9th Parliament. We debated it and we concluded. The controversy was resolved. Speaker declared that the bill has to be featured on the order paper. So the attempt by this government, by blocking this bill and blocking it from being featured, is a big disappointment to the people of this country, to the over 93% of Ghanaians who believe that marriage is between man and woman. It is a big disappointment to them. We demand that if it was oversight or error, it must be added to the order paper so that next week it is laid and presented for first reading, because on record, it has satisfied all the processes by the dictates of our standing orders and has been duly approved to be presented, laid for first reading and consequential referrals. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
While responding to these concerns, Majority Leader Mama Yariga assured the government remains committed to reintroducing and passing the anti-LGBTQ bill.
As the records of this House will testify, the government of President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC majority, and I believe the Right Honorable Speaker, we are all very committed to the passage of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. If you recall, a couple of weeks ago when we debated this, I was the person who insisted that the fastest way to have this passed into law is to take a position that this Parliament has already passed it. So what is left is signature. And I recall many on your side arguing against my position, and so Speaker ruled, and he ruled that so far as he is concerned, the life of the 8th Parliament had elapsed, and this is a new Parliament. And once it wasn't signed, it had to be reintroduced afresh and taken through all the stages. So if you had listened to my advice and sided with me in the debate in this House, that we should treat it as having been passed by this House, and that once it is passed by this House, it is not part of businesses that have elapsed. By now, we would have left it squarely in the hands of the presidency to sign. But because I didn't get that support from you, the position became that it hasn't been passed, and so we must take it through all these processes. So if there's anybody committed to this legislation being passed, clearly it is me and then the people on this side, especially to have it passed expeditiously. Now, you decide that it should be freshly considered by this House, and I think that at this point, the Speaker indicated.
Still in Parliament, the minority says government's plan to construct a new expressway from Accra to Kumasi is misplaced priority. The caucus insists that instead of a new expressway, government should use the resources to complete the existing dualization of the Accra-Kumasi highway. NPP MP for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Boankra, has been debating the 2026 budget on the floor.
That he was going to construct an express road to Kumasi. Mr. Speaker, what is the crime of the people of this country, especially those of us who ply that road to our villages, especially from Accra to Paga and to Boko? For 8 years, from 2009 to 2016, not a single kilometer of road was added by the NDC government. Yes, yes. You come into government again, and instead of you prioritizing with the completion of the dualization of the Accra-Kumasi road, you are telling us that you are going to construct an express road. From which funds? It's a complete misplaced priority. What Ghanaians want to see is the completion of the dualization project that was started by the Akufo-Addo administration. Yes.
But Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, Alhassan Suyuni, says the expressway and several other road projects initiated by the John Mahama government is to open up the economy for more growth.
Mr. Speaker, you will notice in this budget again that we have prioritized critical corridors, road corridors in this country. We have prioritized the construction of the Western Corridor, Wenchi all the way to Wa, the Eastern Corridor. That will take the road all the way from Aflao to the Upper East region, Kolongugu. Mr. Speaker, we have also prioritized the Central Corridor. And as we speak, the dualization of the Accra-Kumasi highway has reached about 64% completion rate. And Mr. Speaker, you will recall that when we came into power, that project was stalled because there was no dedicated funding for that project. It has been put now on the Big Push agenda. Mr. Speaker, the headline of President Mohammed's Big Push agenda is the new expressway that will see about 8 interchanges on the Kumasi-Accra highway. Mr. Speaker, all of these are not just concrete, bitumen, and metals. Mr. Speaker, these are projects that will impact our economy, that will produce jobs, and that will create employment.
Now to the Ashanti region, artisans and traders in the Suame light industrial area have been protesting the unpleasant dust that fills the air owing to delays in the construction of the 4-tier interchange project. They blocked critical portions of the road, compelling commuters to spend more hours in traffic in the morning rush hour, as the demonstrators decried the impact of the dust on both their health and business. The following report has more.
On Thursday morning, commuters on the Suame stretch had to endure long hours in traffic after aggrieved artisans and traders staged a demonstration to block portions of the road. Their concern, the protracted Suame interchange project. The slow pace of the 4-tier interchange has left the road in a dusty state, pouring onto goods and shops along the stretch. According to the aggrieved traders, several appeals to authorities to regularly irrigate the road have proven futile. The unbearable situation, they say, is disrupting business activities and posing serious health complications. We voted for you, but you forget us once you get power. The dust is killing us. We are tired of NDC and NPP. The dust is really affecting us. They have no message for us about this project. The blockade prompted the Kumasi mayor to intervene. Richard Ofori-Atta assured of expedited efforts for the project's completion within its stipulated timelines.
Nani Free sa Jumadie we o. Eti adia ekoso wa ha anei. Ansana dede we ba sore no. Na asatimantam so for Dr. Frank Amwakohene.
Government hasn't forgotten about the project. The regional minister is already in Accra to have the road minister release funds for the continuation of the project. We are also speaking with the Suame Assembly to regularly water the stretch.
Yandi penifwa ehwe Suame Municipal Assembly swakasa. Se enimani ye obu pensuo na ye famegu enfutu a eha ya de fie no ye ngu eso ye fi ha yani contractor no so arrange say ye be share enimani ye na ono so eha owo efa water bowsers no na yaboa no aba wetimi adijuma no.
Calm has since been restored and traffic flow normalized. However, the artisans and traders have given authorities a 1-week ultimatum to address the dust situation. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kwiku.
Well, let's stay a bit longer in the Ashanti region because the government has affirmed its commitment to ensuring the completion of the Boankra Inland Port Project, a major trade infrastructure expected to transform shipping and cargo handling in the northern part of the country. This assurance was given by the Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of operations at the Ghana Shippers Authority, GSA, Prince Henry Ankra, during a familiarization visit to the project site. According to him, the inland port remains a key priority in Ghana's logistics and transportation development agenda. Nana Bwachi-Adam has more in the following report.
The Boankra Inland Port Project, when fully operational, is expected to become a major logistic hub connecting the Ashanti region to major ports and neighboring countries. The familiarization visit by the Ghana Shippers Authority sought to assess progress on the ongoing construction and reinforce government support towards its timely completion. According to the Deputy CEO for the Shippers Authority in charge of operations, Prince Henry Ankra, the government is committed to the completion of the port project.
Of course, I think the government is very committed to this project and to ensure that it's commissioned to serve the purpose for which it was brought forth. For us as Shippers Authority, every month we do what we call a shipper committee meeting. We thought it wise that since the shippers are the ones who is going to benefit from this project, it is important that we bring them here to come and assess things for themselves and to see what we've been able to do, to be able to accomplish. This is a project for them, and this is also a cargo-driven. And for the cargo to come, it means that it will be coming from the shippers. So it was important that they come and see, assess things for themselves to see how far we've come, and to also have an opportunity to engage with the managers of the project to ask questions for themselves and to see what we've been able to do and what is left for us to do.
Project consultant Dr. John Bernard Cranton York disclosed that ongoing works remain on track in line with the project's expectations.
Yes, in terms of the scope and then the way we have faced the project, works is going as expected, but we think that we can increase the momentum from now onwards based on there are certain due diligence and things that has been completed, and therefore the road is now clear for us to move on. Government also has indicated to us that we should continue the project. So very soon, I know there are some outstanding payments which Shippers Authority is working seriously to make the contractor have some money to continue the project. But in terms of the output, the contractor has the capacity to do more than we have seen now.
Dr. York highlighted completed elements of the facility, including foundational infrastructure, drainage systems, and portions of internal road networks as significant milestones already achieved.
We've done the terminal, the operational area. We are raising the structures, and then most of the road network I think we've completed most of them. One of the things we are going to do is the interchange, which would help us have easy access to the site. You could see the simulation that we did. So we've done the geotechnical investigation. We've realized that the bedrock is not very, very deep, and I think it will also have impact on cost. But we've done all the concept. We've had discussion with Ghana Highway Authority. They've agreed. We've selected an option based upon which we will do the designs and then give it to the contractor.
Some shippers present during the visit shared the excitement about the progress of the project.
And with 50%, like you rightly mentioned, I think it's going to go a long way to, also help, exporters. As I speak with you, on a yearly basis, we are doing around 1,700 containers. And if I don't have to transport the containers all the way from Kumasi to Tema, but I'm able to do it from just that short distance, I think it will go a long way to help exporters.
For Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwe-Yadom, Kumasi.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. We're back after this quick turn. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break to other stories now.
Well, a blogger, Samuel Amandato, has been released by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service after meeting a 50,000 bail condition with 2 sureties imposed by an Accra Circuit Court. He faces 2 counts of allegedly publishing false information intended to tarnish the reputation of the former board chairman of the National Communications Authority, Boankra Dankwa-Abevio, the first. Someone who works with the D-Class GHNet pleaded not guilty to all charges. Fatal Bayaga has more in the following report.
The court, presided over by Circuit Court Judge Evelyn Asamoah, after hearing submissions from both the prosecution and defense counsel, granted the accused bail, paving the way for his release. Lawyer for the accused, Jerry Avenabo, welcomed the court's decision.
We got fortunate. The judge really appreciated the side of the law. That's very important. Okay, and I really I'm impressed with the judge for looking at the thing, the case brought before her. And she's shown that there are great judges in this country as well. Ended up granting bail when we made the application, me and my colleague here. And it was a brilliant one, 2 sureties, for the client to go home and do the right thing, live with the family and enjoy. So basically, what we have good news for our brother, and today he's going to go home from here. That's a lot. This is 50,000 Ghana cedis.
Impressed? No, because
General Secretary of the New Media Association of Ghana, Jibril Sulia, expressed serious concern over the circumstances of the arrest. He described the action as unacceptable and an attempt to intimidate media practitioners.
A blogger of Suame or any other blogger to be picked up at 3 a.m. at dawn whilst he's on bed having to sleep or rest. That alone is even a problem. We need to condemn the Rambo-style attack on media personalities, as not forgetting bloggers and content creators. For that one, that's where we have a problem with. And then being able to accommodate an accused person for more than 48 hours, that is where the problem is. And so we need to talk about that. If somebody has a problem with a member of the New Media Association, or if somebody has a problem with a blogger, if it has to do with defamation, if it has to do with every other issue has a proceeding. You don't go and pick people at Rambo style.
The accused is currently out of police custody after satisfying his bail conditions in a case that has sparked significant concern among media experts, lawyers and the public. Meanwhile, the case has been adjourned to December 10, 2025. For Joy News, Fatao Bayaga, Accra.
Meanwhile, pressure is mounting on the Ghana Police Service over what critics describe as arbitrary and unlawful detention of suspects beyond the 48-hour constitutional limit. Speaking on the Midday News on Joy FM, private legal practitioner Samson Ladiayeni said the police decision to hold the blogger for more than 48 hours was lawless and unconstitutional.
Involve private individuals, and you cannot show that the publication will cause, panic or disturb the public peace, then the state gets involved. That's where we must be concerned. So keeping him for more than 2 days, 48 hours, is complete lawless, it's unconstitutional, and they have been doing this to many people. He is a journalist, so people are talking for him. I just gave you an example of people who were arrested and kept for over 7 days before they were brought before court. Nobody is speaking for them because they are no journalists.
Well, Suleiman Abraham, the executive director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, also criticized the manner of the blogger's arrest, describing it as unusual, and noted that he was not on any wanted list prior to his apprehension.
This particular case, if all that we heard before are a true reflection of whatever happened, it's quite curious that, the police would go arrest someone or pick up someone at dawn as if the person was on the run or the person had been on the wanted list for some time. That's quite strange. And then, of course, we hear about the duration of he being kept in custody at the police. I think that is another curious thing.
Well, away from that, government says it is reviewing proposals from 3 valuation firms to independently determine the true worth of Afena discovery and to finally verify whether Springfield's reported investment, including the company's claim of spending over $200 million, can be validated. Energy and Green Transition Minister John Jinapo, speaking on the Super Morning Show, says once the final firm is selected, the ministry will publish a clear roadmap for the next steps, including the possibility of a state takeover of the block. The move comes as the government faces growing pressure to protect Ghana's dwindling petroleum assets.
An independent, fair, transparent process that emphasizes on value for money, that emphasizes on competent technical evaluation. After that, I'll meet all these users. Let's do what is right. Let's do what is proper, so that tomorrow when I leave off, I can turn back and say I did a good job. And we need to validate. It's not enough for Springfield to say I spent $200. Where did you spend $1? Who did you pay? Did you even pay the right amount? Because there are standards. You can't just tell us that you drill a well and it was 50 million when the standards is that it should be, say, 20 million. So I'm even going beyond what you are saying. Timelines is now the issue. We have 3 companies. Let's have a session with them. Let's see the work they are going to do, and then we can agree on the timeline. And when we agree on the timeline, we'll make that available as well. We are dealing with an indigenous Ghanaian company. It's not as if they took the field and sat doing nothing. So that is not comparable. Normally where I revoke a license is when you've been granted a license to go and explore. You are given, say, 3 years, and you do nothing. We would revoke and take over the asset. But when an indigenous company has spent money, gone ahead to drill, conducted an appraisal, and shows that there is some potential, I will not terminate that agreement. I will sit with that company, look at what they've done so far, and determine whether we can help that company so that it will encourage other Ghanaian companies to venture into that field. If they do not meet that criteria, we will terminate that agreement and assume the block.
Well, John Jinapor says he is prepared to support an indigenous company once its actions are legitimate, but that support will not override due process.
Dealing with an indigenous Ghanaian company, it's not as if they took the field and sat doing nothing. So that is not comparable. Normally where I revoke a license is when you've been granted a license to go and explore. You are given, say, 3 years and you do nothing. We would revoke and take over the asset. But when an indigenous company has spent money, gone ahead to drill, conducted an appraisal, and shows that there is some potential, I will not terminate that agreement. I will sit with that company, look at what they've done so far, and determine whether we can help that company so that it will encourage other Ghanaian companies to venture into that field. If they do not meet that criteria, we will terminate that agreement and assume the block.
Away from that, government is set to roll out a new initiative to keep Ghana's beaches clean. Under the plan, people will be employed and paid a monthly allowance to maintain the beaches. President John Dramani Mahama made the announcement at the National Conference of Chief Fishermen and Queen Fishmongers on World Fisheries Day 2025 at the Accra International Conference Center. Before the president's remark, the Galamsey King Taki Tetro Teko II expressed concern about the threat of plastic waste, explaining that it competes with fish stocks and urgent action to deal with the problem.
Towards a collective stewardship of our marine ecosystems. As a nation, we are collectively responsible for the preservation of our fishery industries and resources, which over the years have been confronted with challenges such as overfishing, illegal and unregulated fishing practices, sea pollution and climate change. The use of non-recyclable plastics or single-use plastic products also have aggravated the problem. Now we seek and see that plastic wastes are competing with our fish stock. Our fishermen go to sea and harvest plastic bottles and then plastic or polythene bags. Raba fojin ni echonjwe ingbawana ni sani wokwe ni wofi he nuko. Our fishermen, like I said, they go to sea and harvest plastic bottles and polythene bags. The plastic waste in contact with seawater produces corrosive compounds, which contributes to ocean acidification and affect our marine microbes. This has eroded our coral reefs, destroyed fish habitat, and thus prevent fish from spawning at the shore, but in the deep ocean, which bed is swept clean by Chinese trawlers. Thus, our fishermen record very low yield.
Well, President Mahama says a government will soon launch an initiative to clean beaches and employ people who will receive a monthly allowance to clean them. He says government will establish 2 new fish markets in the OT and Central regions, and says the request for a Greater Accra fish market will receive favorable support as part of efforts to strengthen the fishing industry.
This year, 50 million cedis has been allocated for procurement of outboard motors and fishing inputs for fishers and fishmongers. We are also going to launch an initiative for clean beaches. And so the fishers are going to be involved. We're going to employ people to clean the beaches and make sure that our beaches are clean. You can give us your children, we'll employ them to help clean the beaches for us, and we'll pay them a monthly allowance. Exemption from closed season fishing. As you are aware, artisanal fishers have been exempted from the closed season. So I encourage you to reciprocate by not doing anything illegal during the closed season. We're also in the process of acquiring 2 new offshore patrol vessels for the Ghana Navy to be able to patrol our shores. And then finally, in this year's budget 2026, money has been allocated for the establishment of 2 fish markets, one in Dambai in the Oti region and the other in Shama district. I've noted your request for a fish market in Accra, and I wish to say that it will receive favorable consideration. My dear chief fishermen and queen fishmongers, the future of Ghana's fisheries depends on what we collectively commit to today. I therefore urge you to champion responsible fishing practices, lead community education and discipline, work closely with enforcement agencies, support peace, unity, and elimination of illegal practices, and stand firm as guardians of our marine resources.
Well, you're still watching Join His Prime.
He did.
Yeah.
And this is the point where I leave you, Carlos.
Sure.
I'm so excited because I'm going on leave. So.
And today is Friday.
Of course.
We're going to have a blast this weekend.
Thank you. So, Showbiz is up next. Please stay with us.